It's Thursday, September 20th. I'm Rim, and this is Geeknights. Tonight, with the roll of the dice, Men in Space, or something like that.
Let's do this.
So I recall some years ago, we didn't do a show one night because a building collapsed on the train that me and Scott and Emily all need to get out of the city.
Well, needed
Yep.
to get
So
out.
I remember then I was the only one at my company that I knew of affected by this, and everyone kind of laughed like, good luck getting home as I walked out the door. And we had all of our, that shenanigan journey of getting dinner and taking Amtrak and then that scary-ass cab ride.
Yep.
So this year, the bridge, the only bridge connecting these train lines to the rest of the world, just fucking caught on fire.
Well, there was a fire near the bridge, which it might not have been the bridge itself. It might have just been some, train equipment such as signals near the bridge.
Well, what I read, I saw pictures of it, a video online. From what I saw, the wooden pylons holding the bridge up were on fire.
Whoa.
Like, way on fire.
So, whoa.
But they started using two of the tracks again, and it wasn't that bad. But it was funny how this time I see this notice because I forgot to unsubscribe from the oh shit alerts from MTA. So I get this text. I'm like, oh, Metro North is on fire and there's no trains. And two of my coworkers who had been kind of snickering when that happened to me last time now live on Metro North lines. And the tide was turned and I didn't give a shit and it was hilarious. I was giving them advice like, well, good luck getting home.
Actually, what they did is they had the trains just run to the Yankee Stadium station. And you take the subway to get there to go. Basically, you take the subway, which was not on fire, past the on-fire bridge, using the non-on-fire subway bridge.
See, now remember, that's
the trains are all on the other side.
They had the new station on the other side, and they were set up to use it. So they basically, apparently, my guess is, after the problem last time, they came up with a plan for, if there's trouble in Manhattan, can they make the rest of the train line work? Because last time, none of the trains ran anywhere, because they didn't have a place to, turn them around, switch tracks, or anything.
Yep. Also today, apparently, there's a bunch of UN action, because, I was biking to work this morning, and I get over to Manhattan, and then it's like, hey, yeah, this road's closed. And I bike past a little sign that's like, you agree to security checks if you go past here. And I'm like, oh, this is fantastic.
Yeah, 42nd Street had, a middle lane that they made.
So did 57th Street, had the middle lane.
I watched a motorcade go by. I don't know what country or what limo or whatever it was, but in the middle of the motorcade, on either side of the limo where I guess the guy was, were two vans with no doors on either side. And there were guys with mounted machine guns.
I don't understand, right, why, if you're in a motorcade, right?
Yeah.
It's like cop car, like SUV, the limo, maybe another limo, right?
Yeah.
Vans, right? If I was the important person, I would not be in the limo.
No, if I was the important person, I'd be dressed as a cop on one of the motorcycles, all secret like.
Well, the thing is,
with a body double in the limo.
The thing is, that's a little risky because you might just fall off the motorcycle,
Yeah.
right? But I would just be in the cop car, in the back.
So, Scott, you ever see A Clear and Present Danger?
No.
That doesn't help you.
Oh, they took out the whole motorcade in that
Yeah,
movie?
they took out the whole motorcade, except for Harrison Ford.
If I was a bad guy, I would use RPGs to take out every car in the motorcade just in case.
But it was
the motorcade was smart.
It was a little, I'm used to, we live in New York. I'm used to people with machine guns hanging around, and I'm used to that. Well, submachine guns.
Assault rifle.
This is the first time I saw actual machine guns, as in mounted on some sort of swivelly bit machine gun.
As in not an M4, but a para.
Yeah, not a carbine. Not a carbine.
It's carbine.
Not an AK. It's carbine.
It's bine.
Bean.
Bine.
Bean.
No, beans are what you trade for in Bonanza.
I got the ultra rare carbine M4.
Only CTs can have URT. I drop for you.
But the reason it was eerie was I realized that I thought about this. What if I had set up the motorcade? Why would I have that gun? There's only one answer why you would have those guns on either side of the main car. To spray the crowd with suppressive fire while you escape.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was in that crowd.
That's all right. No, so I had to bike all the way around, and on the way home, I was just like, oh, fuck.
Yeah.
Whatever. I went north before I went. Because the thing is, I biked past all these fancy hotels where apparently they were all staying, and that was why it was all locked down.
So, Tech Day, we haven't done tech show. We had this dearth of tech shows for a long time.
No, we did a really good tech show last time.
No, for a long time, and then we started coming back in force, but we had a delay, so we gotta keep the game very high on the tech episodes.
We'll see if we can do that.
So we'll get to what our topic is in a little bit.
And in the meantime, let's do some news.
There is actually very important news, but we didn't get to talk about it when it happened for various reasons. But you all know HDCP. At least I hope you know what HDCP is. It's the thing that
Hot damn crapola.
theoretically prevents you from connecting non-authorized digital output devices to devices that are protected with HDCP for video and audio. So
It's
say you have a
basically-
movie and you have a fancy TV, and if the TV supports HDCP and the device does, you get the ultra high resolution. But if your device doesn't support it, they give you crappy resolution.
Well, no, it's that the TV has. It's not about the device. It's about the TV, right? So basically it's macrovision for the 21st century. So you have a Blu-ray player, and there's an HDMI cable coming out of the Blu-ray player, and on that HDMI cable there's some HD video and audio and surround sound audio, and they don't want you taking that video and audio off of that HDMI cable, putting it into some a recording device like a HDMI capture card in your computer and recording that Blu-ray disc, basically copying it.
Now, never mind
So-
the fact that I can still get an SD rip, which is almost as good, and then I can just copy that losslessly
Well, this thing is
forever.
there'll still be macrovision also, so it'll be going bright, dark.
Nah,
right?
I don't think macrovision is really a
Macrovision-
threat anymore.
It's still in there, though. It's still there. So
Yeah.
anyway, this is basically, it prevents you, it only stops you if you're doing it the stupid way, like you plug a VCR into your Blu-ray player. It'll stop you from doing that. But basically what it does is it checks to make sure that your TV is like a legit, real TV. If you try to make your own TV, it's not going to work, right? Even if it's an HD TV, if it doesn't have this fancy secret code in it, then you'll just get SD. The Blu-ray player will refuse to put HD out the cable.
Now, there was that study a while ago that pointed out that the majority of American households who think they have high-definition televisions,
don't even know.
they don't have it set up, and they couldn't tell if it was set up correctly or not.
Yep, it's true.
But all that aside, obviously this is bullshit. I shouldn't need, special
You don't,
permission.
because you can just put your Blu-ray disc in your computer and use Handbrake, and the HDCP doesn't even come into it.
I'll get to that later, but I shouldn't need to digitally sign my TV to watch something that I legally bought. Because the real problem here isn't that the pirates can get around it. The pirates can always get around it. Nothing you do will stop the pirates. In fact, all you can do is hurt the people who paid by implementing stuff like this.
Yep.
My moral argument is that if I buy a piece of technology, I should have the legal right to do whatever the fuck I want with it, and with whatever the fuck I want with the outputs of it. Now, I might break some other law and get prosecuted for that, like if I kill Scott with my TV.
Yeah, it's like, should it be okay to make a gun that doesn't shoot if you point it at a person, right? Or it's like, the gun will only go off if you're doing something legal with it. Like if you try to shoot a target. But if you aim at anything else, it won't work. Now, some people might think that's a good idea.
I actually think that'd be a cool idea.
Yeah, but I mean, it's basically the same principle.
But at the same time, it should be okay to circumvent those things for your own use. Regardless,
Killing people?
HDCP didn't stop anyone but people who legitimately bought stuff and wanted to watch it legally, and it had no effect on the pirates. And it got broken, as we expected, because like all DRM...
The thing is, it didn't get broken by hacking. It got broken by someone leaking the key.
I heard... The thing is, no one has confirmed that the key was leaked.
Uh-huh.
Very likely the key was reverse engineered, because mathematically... DRM can't work because the devices that do the decoding are in the hands of the consumers.
Yeah.
So
It's like I give you a DVD, and the DVD has a lock on it, and you need to be able to watch the DVD. So I give you the key, right? So you unlock the lock, and you watch the DVD. Okay.
all right, so
there you go.
And say I give a different key.
The key is in your TV. You just have to, so you really, the thing is, so you're only unlocking the Blu-ray disc when you watch it on your TV. But if you can just get the key out of the TV somehow, then you can unlock the Blu-ray disc whenever you want.
So think about this. We already know a truism of computer security is that if someone has physical access to the device, you're fucked.
Yep.
Now, you can encrypt data and someone can get physical access and not be able to get to that data. But that requires that the key to unlock that data is not on the device. So all it takes to break any DRM you will ever see is some manner of reverse engineering. And in this case, apparently it took about 40 or 50 non-sequential public keys, and then you could derive the private key with the right computing equipment.
Mm-hmm.
And the guess is someone did that.
Yeah.
So Awesome. And Intel's already like, yeah, we'll DMCA the shit out of anyone who tries to use this.
Oh, too late.
I like how it's a nice short number. I'm sure people already are getting this number like tattooed on their backs, just like they did with CSS.
Yep.
We should make some songs. I think we sang the first bits of CSS on the show a long time ago.
I don't remember that. Anyway, that was good. Here's an interesting story that I'm not sure if I like this or not, but I wanna talk about it because it could have. It's an interesting. Someone had a clever idea that doesn't seem. It seems shady, but whatever. So basically, captchas, right? We all have captchas in all our websites because they're useful, and it's really the only way we have of keeping like just spam robots from doing things that are evil, right? You know, if I have a form for like a poll or a registration on my forum or even e-commerce, right? If I don't put some sort of captcha, then somebody can trivially write a tiny script that will hammer my website and just do whatever, submit the form over and over and over again, and maybe post a zillion posts on my blog or do something really annoying and spam the fuck out of me, right?
So I'm curious what you're going to talk about because there's the Turing test question, there's the disabled access question.
No. So there's some company called Solve Media, and what they've done is the problem with captchas, right, is that they're annoying for regular people to do, because they look at it and sometimes they don't even get it right. Or, normal people don't like captchas. They're bothered by them. And in fact, if you had like a captcha solving tool, you could probably just sell it to normal people, not even to spammers, just regular old, actual legitimate humans, because they hate having to fill out captchas. So what this company has done is they made a new kind of captcha where instead of looking at some weird letters that are all jumbly, it's an advertisement and you have to type in the quote, what's in the advertisement.
Wow, that is brilliantly evil.
Yeah, so look, here's an example, right?
Evilly brilliant.
And here's an example, and the example says Windows Internet Explorer 8 and has an Internet Explorer logo.
Clearly they're selling Internet 8, so that's what I will type.
And then it says browse safer, and then it says please enter the quoted text. So you would type in browse safer. And if somebody was using some sort of, digital imaging, like something that would read the text in the image, it would read Internet Explorer 8 or browse, and it might not. It might not know that it's only supposed to type in the quoted text.
Just escalates the arms race in a way because they could. I mean, if they know the basic namespace or the basic question space, they could do things like, all right, it asks for quoted something, OCR for quotes, and then do the stuff in between.
But no, the thing is, it'd be like a different questions for each ad.
Oh, yeah, but you could probably come up with, basically, one way to solve captchas, if they don't have a wide enough space, is to have a human who works for whatever company.
That's the way the porn companies do it, right? Is you sign up for the porn site, and in order to sign up for the porn site, you have to do like 10 captchas. But those captchas are actually captchas for another site, and the guy who, with the porn site, uses the captchas that you solve to go and send spam to someone else to
I'm
make
curious
money.
how you discovered this fact that porn sites do this.
There's news about it everywhere.
Uh-huh.
A lot of it's not just
how many
porn
captchas
sites.
have you solved? 0.
Well, you mean, I haven't solved any captchas that weren't for me. But the
See, I always thought a better way. The ad thing, that's brilliant.
Because
that is brilliant from the making money perspective.
Exactly what I'm saying.
It's a guaranteed impression. The person guaranteed has read the ad, thought about it, and typed something. They had to interact with your ad. It's brilliant, and fuck them.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, I think a non-evil way to go about it would be to have a picture of, say, a cat, and you have to type in English what it is, and fuzzy guessing, and if they don't get it, well, they didn't pass the Turing test.
Yep. That's a good way to do it.
Yeah, well, there is the trouble
What
in
is
general
this, cat?
with
dog?
captchas that some people are just not smart enough to pass a captcha. But I feel like that's a good idea because it filters out people. If someone...
Well, it's a good idea if you're filtering out blog comments or something like that. It's a bad idea if you're, say, e-commercing. It's like, well, the stupid person isn't going to give me their money now because they're too stupid.
But at the same time, do you want to do business with the stupid person when your credit card gets charged back because the shirt didn't arrive because they gave you the wrong address? I'm not going to deny money. It's like, hey, in football, right? You never take points off the board. If you kick a field goal and it was 3 points and it's good and you have a chance to do over the play or you get denied because there was a penalty, do not redo the play ever. Do not take points off the board. If you're a company and you have money sent over the wire, do not undo the money. It's money. It's good. Score. Money. Yes. Keep. So we had trouble actually coming up with what show to do tonight because we've been so focused on, gaming after
You don't want to
PAX
do things
and
today
recess.
first?
We're still in the opening bit here.
All right.
I think we can do this now. We did not decide what to do the show on. And I was going through this whole list of shows that Emily compiled from forum suggestions. And the two we came up with that are the best, I guess, topics for us to talk out of our asses about are nuclear weapons.
No, I thought it was space exploration.
Oh, yeah, space exploration. That works too.
Uh-huh.
I guess you don't want to talk about the nuclear vessels.
Not really.
No, you don't?
No.
You don't admit that? We'll talk about that later then. Or presentation software. So I got this D6 here. On a 1, 2, or 3, we're talking about space exploration. On a 4, 5, or 6, we're talking about presentation software.
Alrighty. It's a 2.
It's a 2.
Which one was that?
So things of the day. This has definitely been making the rounds, but I want to bring it up because I have an extra bit of hilarity from this. This is a video of 2 dudes in Brooklyn, or 3 dudes in Brooklyn. I can't quite tell how many dudes. And they're in their apartment. And a couple of weekends ago, there was a thunderstorm in New York, which is kind of a rare occurrence. It's very rare that a thunderstorm, a real thunderstorm, actually enters the borders of New York City.
One that's really, I mean, there's some where it's like rumble, rumble, lightning, lightning.
Yeah, but
it's
the Heat
rare
Island-
that it's like a rumble. Doom,
The Heat Island of New York
doom.
basically cuts storms apart and sends them around the city. And these dudes lose their shit about this tornado because a tornado went through Brooklyn and another tornado went through Staten Island. That's crazy. That never happens. But it's funny watching this for me because I grew up in the Midwest around Detroit, where storms far worse than that and tornadoes much like that
Yeah, it was pretty
rolled
loud.
through like every other weekend.
And it was pretty powerful, but it was small and it moved so fast. Like I got home, I did some stuff in the house, the storm passed over, and then it was quiet, and then I went back outside.
like as a
It
kid,
was that quick.
as a kid, storms like that were the kind of storms where we'd open the garage door and hang out in lawn chairs watching. We'd only
Mhm.
go inside if it looked like debris was going to get thrown at us.
And then maybe you could even like close the garage door and look out the windows.
Yeah, or if it was the worst it would ever get is we'd go down to the basement and watch out of the reinforced glass.
Nah.
But that was if like the tornado was probably going to hit the house.
Nah.
That was... These guys really lose their shit.
Yeah, I think they were probably on some substances.
I don't think they were.
No?
I don't think they were. I mean, to be
It's
fair,
hard to tell these days.
it was not a double tornado.
But that guy wasn't on substances.
I know.
So it's always the opposite of what you expect. I just want to pause to say that this is crazy blinking light out the window. Look over there towards the end of the bridge on the side of one of the buildings.
Wow, I feel like that should be a thing of the day. That is a really, really bright light, and it is like many, many miles away from us.
It's on the other side of the river, and it's blinking, and it's like
It's almost at the like halfway down Manhattan, like it's one of those buildings.
it's like one of those lights that you'll see blinking to like keep airplanes away from the top of a building. But it's on during the day, and it's not on the top of a high building. It's on like the side of a shorter
I
building.
cannot express to you how fucking bright this thing is.
It's really far. It's like it looks like, you know, when you look at a stadium and someone flashes their camera and it goes like, shh, right? It looks like that, but it's ridiculous. It's like miles away, but that's what it looks like. And it's repeating at pretty frequent intervals, like flash,
My
Flash.
best guess is some sort of arc
Flash.
welding.
flash. But why is he flashing? Why is he arc welding at regular intervals?
I don't know. Bzz, fiddle, 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 bzz, fiddle, fiddle, fiddle. I don't know.
It's like exactly every second or
That's
so.
really weird. Hopefully we aren't going to die, and then we'll tell you
It
what
could
that
be
was.
a really reflective surface spinning and reflecting the sunlight.
But there's not that much sunlight left, and why
It's
is
pretty
it spinning so
sunny.
slow? And why as such a point source?
I don't know.
That is really bright. Anyway, you got a thing of the day other than that thing?
Here's my thing of the day.
All right.
So, I don't know, people listening to Monday shows know about hell. But anyway, here's,
Well, hell of the anime variety.
any hell. And this,
Jikoku.
yes, these videos, there are 2 of them. They are quite hellish. It's apparently from a movie called Kunoichi Ninpocho, which is a movie, like a bad old movie about female ninjas. And they all have vagina bubble power. That's all. That tells you everything you need to know
Now,
about these 2 clips.
Now-
These are 2 clips from the movie.
the thing about the vagina bubble power is that you might be thinking maybe that's a euphemism. You might be thinking well, they're making some joke, and when I see it, I'll get it. No.
It's just like naked cars.
It is literally a vagina bubble, just like Utena movie and naked fucking cars.
Yep.
It's anime hell is something I almost feel like I feel like we should do an internet equivalent. Like we should make our own, like we sit on the couch in like a darkened room with like spotlights on our faces and we do anime hell as an hour-long show and put it on the internet. Because non-anime con going people do not know what anime hell is. It has nothing to do with anime.
There's some animes in it.
Sometimes there's anime in it, but imagine taking a bunch of nerds and putting them in a room at like midnight, like 11 o'clock after they're exhausted from a day of conventioning, and showing them strange things with no context and no explanation.
Lots of the kind of clips that you would see on late night, you know?
Yeah, like remember that story from North America, that thing a day from a while ago? That was something we saw
That was hellish.
at an anime hell. That was like a 7 out of 10 on the Jikoku scale.
Yep. All right.
So, the meta moment.
What about your thing of the day?
I already did a thing of the day, Captain.
All right.
You know, you're facing that light. You sure it's not a mind eraser?
I think it's orbital mind control laser.
So, meta moment. You okay? Meta
Yeah.
moment? We're good doing the meta
All
moment?
right, so the New York Comic-Con / Anime Festival is October 8th, 9th, and 10th. We have a panel Friday night, which
Yes.
is the 8th.
Friday night. It is
7:30.
Yep,
Which
it's
is
an
the
anime
same.
panel.
So I guess we're not going to board game night,
I guess we're not going to board game night.
which is the same exact time.
This will be the first board game night I've missed in a while, but that's fine.
That's fine.
Also, that weekend, 10-10-10 is all weekend. That's the Burning Wheel Con.
Yeah, I don't
in
know.
New York
I don't know
City.
how much if I'm gonna go to the big con on Saturday and Sunday if we're only doing one panel there now.
Yeah, I'm going to the Burning Con, something fierce.
Yeah, the Burning Con actually I found out is full up now. Like they've reached the fire marshal number of the space that they have gotten.
Well then, kids, if you didn't pre-register, don't go.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he has a thread on the Burning Wheel forum that's like, if you want to go and you haven't registered yet, post here. So we'll see how that goes. What else is meta? There's not that much. Oh, one thing. The Nerd NYC, who does the board game night, it also is doing this Gotham Gaming Guild thing, right? And basically the way it works is in the month of October, there are 3 RPG sessions in New York City. And if you do this, you have to do all 3 sessions. You can't be like, oh, I'm just going to 1. No, you have to do all 3. If you can't do all 3, don't sign up.
I'll sign up under an assumed name, and if they suck, I just won't show up
It
again.
costs actual money, though.
That's fine.
So
Money, not as valuable as time.
And basically, there's 5 games with 5 GMs, and you sign up, and you give like your first, second, and third choices of which game you want to do, and then they put you in a game, and even if you didn't get your first choice, you still have to go. It's
That's
like
dangerous.
It's like you committed. You know, you're in, and then you basically pay money, which they use to rent the space with the tables, and you go to the 3 sessions, and you play an RPG for 3 sessions. And I am doing a free market game, so if you want to play free markets. It's October 1st, October 15th, and October 29th at 7 p.m. And go to Nerd NYC forum, and there's threads about it, and you can sign up and all that jazz. So there you go.
All right. So space exploration is actually recently a very hot topic among nerds.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder why. Maybe because we don't have a lot of money anymore, and nerds really want to explore space because we want to live in space someday.
Well, I think the thing is, right, it's like we look at all this other technology that we have, and the power of this technology is advanced so much in such a short time, right? Like, especially computers, you know? I mean, the Apollo guys, they had like a Commodore 64 to go to the moon with. And now we've got like Pentium zillions, so shouldn't we be able to go to 10 moons, you know, instead of just 1 moon? But no, we can't. And I think the real problem is simply the laws of physics. It's really, really difficult to get the hell out of here because gravity sucks. You need a lot of energy. And no matter how fancy your technology is, you need a lot of energy, which is expensive and difficult. And you need fucking rocket fuel. And it sucks.
I think more to the point, I'm an advocate of unmanned and scientific space exploration, but there's a certain impatience among a lot of people who want us to explore space in that even if we put like half of our national resources towards space exploration, it'll be generations to get the technology we want, probably. It'll be generations and generations before we figure out crazy tricks.
If the laws of physics don't even get in our way, and we don't run out of fuel.
Yeah, I mean, it could be the Olduvai hypothesis come to bite us in the ass.
Yeah, maybe you should explain that for the people who don't know it.
It was an idea, and there are a number of other similar theories, but
We don't know if it's true. It's a hypothesis.
No, you can lump, and it actually was kind of discredited because it made very specific predictions, but you can boil all these different kinds of hypotheses together into one idea that it is possible that a planet like Earth has a finite number of chances to escape its own orbit and achieve permanent settlement outside before.
Well, the planet isn't going to leave the orbit. Something on the planet.
Yeah,
leaves.
the planet, as in things from the planet, have one shot to make it out and make a colony that turns into like one of those Michio Kaku level 1, level 2, level 3 civilizations before they use up all the easily accessible latent energy on the planet. Now, some people have gone one step further and argued that you only get one chance to industrialize. And if you don't get to a kind of post-energy scarcity society before you use up all the limited resources, you're done, and it's caveman times forever.
Yeah, because think about it, right? You got this big planet. It's a big rock, right? It only has so much fuel and energy in it, and you're getting more from the sun, but it's...
Now, we could get energy from the sun, but it's going to take a lot of resources that aren't from the sun, to theoretically, to build up the technology to usefully utilize the sun enough to achieve high levels of usefulness.
Exactly. So you have this fuel and you use it, and you have to use the fuel to build up a society and to build rockets and to build whatever. But you have to get your whole society to the point where you can get people living on another planet, right, with only the fuel you have, and you can't get more fuel very easily. You can just get it trickling in from the sun very slowly. So it's like you have one chance, maybe, to get out. And if you miss that chance, you're just stuck on your Earth or wherever planet you're on forever, unless aliens come to save you or something like that.
Now, the original Olduvai theory really said that an industrial civilization has like 100 years to exist.
Uh-huh.
And we've made it about 100 years without trouble.
And it looks like, even with the doomsayers out there, right? Even if we just didn't even bother in giving a shit at all, we, and just went, whatever. We still have enough oil for at least 100 years.
Now, only in energy theory. We're not talking about pollution and all the other bad stuff. You
No,
can't
no,
just
no.
say whatever about that. But
I'm just saying.
when it comes to energy utilization, we're probably doing okay. But I don't think that is a valid argument to say we shouldn't.
No. I'm just saying
Yeah.
if we just didn't give a shit, we could still, all our cars and all our factories and everything we have, we'd still have electricity and the power plants would still be churning in 100 years with just the resources that we have available now.
But space exploration is very much among nerds like us. I mean, you can't help but watch Cosmos or read Cosmos, and a still more glorious dawn awaits. You just think, yeah, we'll go out to the stars. I don't know.
It's not so easy.
I think the analogy as to why I'm actually against any further funding for manned space exploration for the next 30 or 40 years, if not the next several generations, is pretty simple. And I note how I brought out my fairly controversial opinion, just bam, kind of stuck it in there.
All right. You didn't just bam sneak it in there by saying bam, I snuck it in there.
I unsnuck it.
In order to sneak it, you have to not say anything.
It's unsnuck.
That's like sneaking it. That's like being completely stealthy, sneaking into a museum, getting right next to the diamond, taking the diamond off its stand, replacing it with the fake diamond, and then going, security guards, did you totally see that? Oh, that was dope. Did you see that shit? Look at this. I got the real diamond, and the fake diamond is in the... Oh, man, I am the boss.
We have that. It's called Stentorious Stealthy.
It's called Lupin the Third.
Anyway, I feel this because, quite frankly, I'll use an analogy from a video game. Let's look at the Civilization games, right? Now, say I can research pottery and mining and, I don't know, gunpowder.
Gunpowder is the winner.
No.
Because you can just use your gunpowder to take the pottery and mining from the other guy.
All right, so gunpowder is going to take me 100 years to research.
All right.
Because, my current level of science is not that high. Pottery is going to take me a year to research. And the benefits of pottery might speed up the time to get gunpowder, such that if I research all these other things first, gunpowder will take less time, even if I add all those other things together, than gunpowder with my current technology. And that's obviously a simple analogy, but
a very good lesson from Civilization, which Civilization 5 comes out tomorrow.
Oh, shit. That's
or
the
perhaps today, because most people will probably listen to this today.
That is the end of Geeknights, you realize.
September 21st, 2010.
War was beginning. But I feel like right now, I mean, the space race in the Soviet era and culminating in us getting on the
Russian
fucking moon.
Space Minute?
When we landed on the moon in fucking 1969, which was a long fucking time ago, and we haven't really done anything cool to the masses.
Except
since
landing
then.
on the moon a bunch more times.
Yeah, but no one cared anymore. No one gave
Making
other than
fucking space stations. Holy shit, actual space stations.
I know, and no one cares, and that amazes
Holy
me.
fucking shit, robots that fucking work on Mars for real.
Yeah, we have pictures of Mars. I saw a almost live stream of the Martian atmosphere from the surface, and that itself was a while ago.
Oh shit, fucking like basically what are metal box robots with not so many moving parts going so far out into space, like, oh my god, like they're out by Saturn and shit, or even farther away.
I mean, imagine,
or perhaps even out of the solar system.
Imagine what it really felt like, because we didn't even live through that. It was so long before we were born. Imagine the feeling of watching live a dude walking around on the goddamn moon.
Goddamn. Next to the goddamn Batman.
And the fact that most people are not excited about that and don't marvel at that anytime it's brought up, kind of sad.
Because it's a what have you done for me lately, right?
Yeah. And even then, what have you done for me?
You don't see any like Chicago Cubs fans. They're not partying because of the World Series they won 100 years
Maybe
ago.
if we sent the Chicago Cubs to the moon.
They won the World Series 100 years ago. You don't see them partying, right? It's what have you done for me lately? If it doesn't happen right now, I don't give a shit.
I think my issue is that the cost to society to continue manned exploration right now is way more than the benefits we're likely to get. I mean, even if we want to establish a permanent colony on the moon or on Mars, I don't think manned exploration is the way to go about that quickly. I think very detailed non-manned, like 40 years
You're not a
of
rocket
non-manned-
scientist. What do you know?
Well, the rocket scientists all seem to agree too. I don't see a lot of people advocating seriously who are in a position to advocate legitimately that we should be really spending a ton of our resources on manned spaceflight right now.
Well, I think the thing is right. The problem with a lot of space flight stuff, especially in the U.S., right, is that people care way too much about safety in particular, especially with manned space flight, and they care about losing money, right? If they invest a whole ton of money into something, they don't want it to fuck up, like has happened many times. And they especially don't want people dying, which has also happened more than once. So basically, they need to avoid those things at all costs. And since our space stuff is all commercial, and even if it is all government owned, and even if when it is commercial, it's still heavily regulated, right? They're very worried about these things, and there's all sorts of limitations. And the result is that they need to make these things, any rockets or whatever, they make them like 99.999% safe. And the fact is a diminishing return in terms of money spent versus safety, right? I can make a rocket that's 90% safe. So 1 out of 10 times it'll blow up or whatever. But it'll get the job done 9 out of 10 times, but it'll be like 10% of the price of the rocket that's 99% safe.
I mean, physics really...
I'm just making numbers up, but the point is
but
that...
the famous rocket fuel equation.
Yes.
The equation that tells you how much fuel to put in a rocket depends upon how much fuel you put in the rocket.
Yep.
That sucks.
It sucks big time. But the thing, all right, but it's like, okay, to make the rocket, let's say the rocket starts out 0% safe, it's going to kill everybody, okay? So I want to make...
It's just a gun?
It's just a bomb, basically.
It's just a gun.
It's a bomb. It's a rocket fuel bomb.
You just shoot someone and say, did it push him into space?
All right, so I want to make this rocket 10% safe. It costs me X dollars. I want to make it 20% safe. It costs me like 2X dollars.
I'm curious what you imagine the 20% safe rocket looking like.
1 out of 5 times, it works. And the other 4 times it blows up. It's that simple. It's got 4. It's got a Russian roulette revolver.
How about the 1% rocket? What kind of fucking rocket actually has a 1% chance?
So it's like a little toy rocket, made of cardboard and whatever. And the engine is sort of GIMP from the factory, so it looks kind of funny. You don't know if it's gonna go, but you push the button and maybe 1 in 100 times.
Maybe I just take a whole bunch of G engines and strap them to some cardboard and put a guy in a chair.
Yeah, it might happen. Maybe balloons.
See, but that's one aspect. But I think as a society, we could easily sidestep that particular issue because if you imagine right now, if the president of the United States came to the American people, gave a press conference and said, we're looking for volunteers for a manned mission to Mars that will likely not see any of the people on it returning home or even making it to Mars.
No, I'm not. See, the thing is, I'm not even talking about just the manned stuff. Obviously that, right? But if you have a non-manned thing, they still make it crazily safe because A, they don't want the rocket hurting anyone who's sitting on the ground.
I don't think that's as much of a concern.
It's not that much of a concern because they're really good at making rockets. But B, they're worried about losing the really expensive equipment inside, right? If it blows up with $1 billion satellite
Scott,
in it,
here's
you get in big trouble.
So here's the I think what you're not looking at. I was only talking about the crazy, insane cost of safe manned space flight.
Which is far more costly, but
with unmanned stuff, I'm sure they've already calculated what costs more, losing 5 rockets to get one up or sending one up that's guaranteed to go up. They wouldn't, because their lives aren't at stake, they wouldn't be doing the more expensive way, I don't think.
But that's the thing, right? Is there's actually what was that, SpaceX, right? I watched it was a commercial rocket and they launched it and I watched the launch and it totally worked. It's cheaper than the shit NASA's
Scott,
using.
Where do you think we launch rockets from? Not our manned stuff, the space shuttles. What about all those satellites? We put them out pretty fucking cheaply and a lot of them blow up.
Yeah.
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 It sucks.
We've already got that down because there's practical applications of that. I just feel like
the point is that this is a commercial company that made a satellite launching rocket that is cheaper than the ones that NASA is doing.
Yeah, well,
so they're not optimal down there.
Scott, a lot of our satellite launches are done from outside the U.S. anyway.
That's also true.
I think really manned exploration is the thing because I feel like we gain a lot more benefit from surveying the space and sending unmanned probes on 20, 40, 80-year missions than we do by sending a human out there to die. Or not die and just walk around the moon going, I'm on the fucking moon. This is awesome.
What about like the space tourism though, right? It's like people want to go to space just so they can go to space.
I think that's fine. I don't think there's any problem with a commercial endeavor that's willing to risk money and lives. Go for it.
Right, but the thing is now what if there is that limit on we only have one shot to get out there, and now you're wasting the precious rocket fuel on people just having to look around.
All right, if we're going to make that argument, I would argue that 90% of what I do in my daily life is similarly wasteful. I mean, do you know how hot the stupid Firewire thing is? How much electricity that thing's burning? Or those lights when we tried to record that video?
I guess
What's that adding to society?
Something.
Yeah, I think the Civ analogy really says my opinion best. I feel like we should really focus on unmanned and practical space exploration, and we should really hold off until technology reduces the barrier to entry. Like, if, say right now, it's like 80% of our resources to get to Mars with humans. But who's to say that in 40 years, it won't take 40% of our resources to do the same thing? I mean, think about how hard it was to send a megabyte of data 100 miles 20 years ago.
Yep. Well, the other issue is that sometimes politics just gets in the way, right? For example, there was that they were going to try to develop that thing where it would go into space, and then it would have a whole bunch of fucking nukes to go out into space really fast. And they basically didn't want to do that because people don't like the idea of nukes, even though it's in space and it wouldn't bother them at all.
Or the fact that sometimes presidents of many nations will say things like, we're going to put a man on X because this is a politically expedient thing to do. And while it was probably one of the greatest achievements in human history to actually put people on the moon in 1969, what did that get us other than a unifying moment? Like, aside from the social and the kind of visceral feelings, what did it really get us that unmanned exploration could not have gotten us at a fraction of the cost? And imagine how much cheaper it would have been to try to do that starting today. If today we were like, all right, now we're going to try to go to the goddamn Batman.
Yeah, you wouldn't have had 10 failed attempts.
It wasn't necessarily 10 failed attempts. The Apollo mission was not 10 failures and then we made it. It was a series of steps along the way.
Of course, but the point...
Plus, Scott, are you forgetting the Gemini program or the Mercury program?
I don't know all the programs.
Do you know anything about the space program?
I do. I just don't remember every single fucking goddamn mission because there's like a zillion of them.
There aren't that many.
There's a lot.
Do you know how many Apollo missions happened?
In total?
Yeah. You know there were at least 13 because there was that movie.
I know. I think there was like 16 or 17.
How about Gemini? Do you know anything about Gemini?
It's a constellation.
What did... did Gemini have men in it or not?
I don't know.
It did.
Okay.
It had men. It had people.
Mans?
Mans.
How many mans?
More than one.
More than one man.
Hence Gemini.
That's why it was called Gemini.
I went to space camp as a kid, so...
Oh, so yeah, that's why you know.
Well, technically...
It's not like they teach you the shit in school. Maybe they should.
Oh, they did.
They didn't teach me in school.
They taught me that in school. In fact, I remember when I didn't actually go to space camp. Space Camp was for kids younger than me. I went to Space Academy.
Oh,
So,
fancy.
If you look, anytime you see like videos or TV or movies or anything involving Space Camp, like say the movie Space Camp, everything they show is actually from Space Academy. Space Camp is like lame. It's like young kid science-y camp. Space Academy is what you think is Space Camp. But anyway, I remember when I got there, and most of the kids already knew most of the stuff. But like we already knew like all the Gemini missions and Mercury program and the probes and everything. And the kids who didn't know were kind of like the kids who got to RIT in the CS program and didn't already know how to code. Yeah, it was basically like that.
Very usually no good.
For the record, I was the mission commander of our simulated mission in like the full space shuttle simulator, and we lost 3 men. My team barely made it back down alive. Those assholes.
How do you? The thing is, usually with space missions, you're losing everyone or no one, right? How did you lose 3 guys?
You know how we lost 3 guys? Because they were jackass scientists. So they're on the space station, and they came back to the space shuttle, and we detached. And then they had to do some last like mission on the spacewalk crane, right? And then come in, and I was gonna have them come back down. They had already missed their landing window because they were dicking around up there. So we were already off script, and I had to basically order them to just give up on the scientific mission, come in. We're going to do the emergency landing in White Sands because that was the last window they had, and then they're gonna, they were basically gonna die. So they refuse to come back in. And their science officer refuses to force them back in.
He was just role playing or what?
Yeah, I honestly, the kid was kind of dumb, and I don't know why he was at space camp. But he refused my order, and I couldn't even talk to them directly. I had to, like in Gundam shows where like the captain says blah blah blah, and then like another person listens to the captain and then tells each department what to do. I could not talk to them directly. I had to talk to them through the comm. And eventually, I gave the order to close the doors on them and prepare for landing. And they died. They died in space. We cut them off and we landed, and I saved my team.
Yeah, okay. I guess the only other way, like an individual.
It got really heated. It was actually kind of fucking awesome. I had my clipboard and my headphones. I was yelling, and oh my god, that was a fun fucking moment.
I guess the only other way, like individuals could die in space, is I guess if you're on a mission alone, right?
Or a heart attack.
Yeah, if you get a heart attack,
too much pooping,
disease,
not
something
enough
like
pooping.
that. Or like if you're on a spacewalk and you fuck up, right? Then you could hurt yourself. Or if you just go open the airlock and go out into space on purpose.
Someone died independently in the space station, but they died of an accident on the space station.
I guess like if you're in a space station module and that module blows up, or like has a hole in it, but everyone else is in a different module and it's totally safe. That could happen.
In the space station, a meteorite broke one of the windows.
Yeah, that's exactly that.
And it depressurized stuff, and the crew survived. They had an escape plan that they made, but then when they went back in to fix it, one of them did not properly do the airlock and died. And then the other one tried to save him, and he didn't die, but he couldn't save the guy.
Yeah.
I guess Space Academy is really fucking fun. So if you're young enough to do it, you should do it.
There's plenty of opportunities to not kill everyone in space and only to kill a few people. I guess, there's another chance, like if the aliens come, but then they only get one of you, right? Like,
oh, yeah.
Because Sigourney Weaver totally makes it.
Yeah, but I swear to God, if my people had attempted a landing there. So, I mean, I guess, do you agree or disagree? Should we just hold off on manned space exploration until the diminishing returns is a reverse curve?
Yeah, because think about it. We're playing Civ right now, right, as a world. And right now, space station is, the screen has come up, and it's like, what would you like to research next? And it says, going into space.
Or sanitation.
All right, and going into space will take 100 turns. Or sanitation, 2 turns. Which one are you going to pick? Because, if you keep picking the one that takes 2 turns over and over again, eventually the one that takes 100 turns will only take 2 turns.
And that's the situation you get into where, yes, I've got gunpowder and no one else has gunpowder. My 2 musket men cannot stand up to the 400 barbarian horsemen.
Also, it's like we're also really close, right? It's like we're developing all kinds of technologies that will help us out in space, like ways to get oxygen and all that kind of stuff and not have to keep shipping oxygen containers out there or anything like that. We could actually make little colonies and whatnot. And if we can actually do that, then maybe then is the time to go. It's like going out there now, and testing our really early prototypes, that sort of thing, aren't gonna, help us as much.
Now, a lot of people make the argument that so much great technology came out of the space race that is practical for everyday use. But I feel like a lot of those things could have happened anyway with similar investment into more practical pursuits.
Well, the other thing is, we still have a space station already, right?
Oh, my other
we can
argument-
still do plenty of zero gravity experimentation.
I have a much better argument against that kind of thinking.
Mm-hmm.
S/space exploration /war/S/G.
Yeah.
I guess I put an extra S in there, but you get my point.
Yeah.
War gives us so much practical technology. Should we spend more money on war? Or should we spend money on developing technology?
Yeah, I mean, because think about it. The kind of technologies that war makes, right? Think about what those are. And there are many of them, and not all of them are bad, right?
A lot of them are practical for everyday use.
But think about the kind of technologies that we've made recently that have nothing to do with war. Like,
internet.
Phones. No,
Internet.
internet had something to do with war.
Yeah, it did.
But not mobile phones really as much, or Facebook. Podcasts.
So I wonder how much of a
iPods.
contrary opinion we're taking. What do you guys think? Maybe I'll make a little poll in the thread about this episode.
Mm-hmm.
And then we can have further discussion based on that.
That sounds good.
This has been Geek Nights with Rim and Scott. Special thanks to DJ Pretzel for the opening music, Kat Lee for web design, and Brando K for the logos.
Be sure to visit our website at frontrowcrew.com for show notes, discussion, news, and more.
Remember, Geek Nights is not one, but 4 different shows. Sci-Tech Mondays, Gaming Tuesdays, Anime Comic Wednesdays, and Indiscriminate Thursdays.
Geeknights is distributed under a Creative Commons Attribution 3.0 license. Geeknights is recorded live with no studio and no audience. But unlike those other late shows, it's actually recorded at night.